in the 5th webinar of Anandabajar Patrika group. The first webinar focused on, I think it was 30th of May. It focused on the Vice Chancellor's Roundtable, where Vice Chancellors of 8 or 9 universities came together and spoke on how education is changing, particularly in the context of the pandemic that's going on, raging the whole world. Then we moved on to a specific domain. We moved on to media education, followed by engineering education, followed by a hospitality education last Saturday. And this week, we are focusing on design education. Yes, we all know, first of all, though the colleagues here might be knowing, but for those who have joined in the audience, I think 268 people I find just now online here. There could be much more on, or many more on Facebook Live. So for everyone, I'm moderating today. My name is Professor 𝐊𝐿𝐲 𝐏𝐸𝐬𝐬𝐜𝐮𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐶 Vice Chancellor of Adamas University, Kolkata, and have been associated with at least a couple of institutes represented in the audience. That's Alex Velasco's Pearl Academy and Amartya Banerjee's NSHM group, NSHM Institute, had been associated earlier with them as well. So it's great fun to today talk on design. Last time I learned at least 30 new terms in engineering thanks to Professor Sasmita Sawanta and others like the BESRA MIT VC and Jadavpur University Pro VC and many others. I learned at least 30 new terms and I have a list of them. So today I'm looking forward to learning 40 new terms from the 8 ladies and gentlemen who are here, 8 or 9 ladies and gentlemen who are here, who would be speaking to everyone on design education. First of all, design is hands-on, and the hands-on is not allowed in pandemic times. So design is physical, and the physical interaction is not allowed during pandemic times. How do we manage it? So that's the crux. How do we create virtual studios? How do we really share experiential learning, which is at the core of design, without physically meeting or meeting in a limited sense, a limited way? These are some of the things, no doubt. But more pertinently, just going beyond pandemic, design was just another area. It's now one of the core areas like IT. Design has become core to almost every profession now. You cannot think of any profession without IT, information technology. Every profession is an IT-enabled service these days. It's not just another industry. It is the industry which is part of every industry. Similarly, design thinking is becoming cardinal, core, or at the essence of any and every profession. Whether it's engineering, whether it's media, whether it's any other profession, let's say hospitality, and everywhere, there is an element of design, perhaps a very strong element of design in everything that we do, even when we lead our lives in general. So how is it so? Why is design thinking so important? By the way, what is design thinking? Just thinking in terms of colors, in terms of circles and squares, in terms of vibrant look and feel, or there is something beyond that? Because sometimes the colors may look not so vibrant, but may actually communicate what it is supposed to communicate in that context. So we'll know those things from the gurus, and the guru is gender neutral. There is rishis and munis, and Gargi was also a muni, so it's gender neutral. So therefore, we'll know it from the gurus of design. Yes, Alex, I'm sure you know what is guru and muni and rishi nowadays. After all, you are in India for quite some time now, so you'll be knowing that. So we have a gentleman from abroad and the other ladies and gentlemen from various parts of India, largely Eastern India, obviously, because this Anandabajar Patrika's program is targeted towards the Eastern Indian youngsters. I'm happy to know 326 participants online at this point of time. That's a substantial number, and I'm sure a few hundreds would be online in live Facebook of ABP Education. So we will take a lot of questions, but let's listen to the experts first. In the first 8 minutes talk, each of you, plus minus 1 minute. So when your 8 minutes are over, I'll take up my hand this way. Kindly finish in the next few seconds. You will have another 3 opportunities. As Sasmita ma'am can vouch for it, I will come back 3 times, at least 3 times in the next 2 hours. I have a show at 5 o'clock, another country. This is for a Nigerian project. So Nigerian webinar. So I will surely end by 5 today. So we will keep the time. So everyone, please keep the time, honor everyone's time, and we'll have to take questions. A lot of questions you have to take. Last time also we took a lot of questions, and we will move ahead now. So the first speaker today, and I feel very happy. You know, a friend of mine from Nepal has written an article, a lady friend who has written an article on no more manels. What is manel? Male panels. No more manels. I mean, say no to manels. So since then I made it a point, anyone who requests any webinar must have 1 or 2, ideally 2, or even more women on the panel. If there are 8, minimum 1, 2, 3, ideally 2, 3 in the panel. So I'm so happy today that the first 2 speakers are ladies. So over to a very respected educationist of Odisha, why Odisha, entire Eastern India, Professor Susmita Samanta, Pro-Vice Chancellor of 𝐾𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐜𝐮𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐨𝐧 University, very well-known university, led by a visionary educationist. Not to make her happy, I tell it from the heart, 𝐊𝐞𝐲 Samanta is unparalleled. A man who started from the grassroots, talking to tribal people, bringing succor to their lives, not coming not born with a silver spoon in the mouth, in his mouth. A man who has created 2 universities, 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐜𝐮𝐬𝐬𝐢𝐴. A man who's the darling of the people of Odisha. Last time he was sent by politicians to parliament, this time he's sent by people to parliament. That's the best part. And 𝐊𝐞𝐲 Samanta is the founder of 𝐾𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐜𝐬. I am happy to introduce now Professor Susmita Samanta, who is equally conversant with engineering technology as with design. Pro-Vice Chancellor, �ΚIT University, Professor Susmita Samanta, please highlight on her.
Thank you, Professor Chaudhary, for introducing 𝐾𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐜𝐻 and 𝐾𝐼SS so nicely. And thanks to you for giving the opening remarks that now design has become the part of each and every education in the globe. Because if you take the example of academic system itself, during the pandemic, each and every institution, the universities are planning how to design the academic system, how to make it feasible, as such everybody can have the access to this, access to the academic system, and the learning can continue without any disruption when the whole globe has been disrupted by a global pandemic. And during that time, while we are talking about design, I can say that design was always there in academics, and I can say that design was the integral part of education system of this country since very beginning. I do little bit study on the education system, how it has evolved, and what is the future scope of education for its growth and for its refinement in distant future. And while going through the evolution of education system in this country, coming to the Vedic period, what we found in Vedic period, the education system was focusing particularly on the education of the self, and to recognize the self, the inner talent of each and every individual. And coming to the latter part, the education was little bit extended with the recognizing of the self. By Vivekananda, it was extended that how the self can be connected with the universe. And then we came to the third part. Third part came after the Vedic education period, while the Taxila, Nalanda, I can say that 2,500 years ago, when those universities came into existence, we brought some of the professional education in place, like commerce, medicine, philosophy, business, though mathematics. In Taxila, normally those courses were being taught, and in Nalanda also most of those courses were being taught, where thousands of foreigners also came to study there. And while they were studying those courses, though those courses were taught being the part of Vedic education, but some other parts were included into it. But like in business and commerce, some portion came from Arthashastra of 𝐶𝐞𝐲. In medicine, the person came from the books of Susruta, and the syllabus or the pedagogy of mathematics come from Aryabhata. So like that, they wanted to bring some philosophies from some other mythology or from some available books with the Vedic education system. And while we come to the post-independent era, we saw that the education particularly was based on the job, whatever the people will be pursuing after completing the education in the academic institution. So it became mostly the profession-based or the skill-based education system this country followed. And while we have completed more than 70 years of years after independence, now this country is thinking that how to bring more and more innovation into the education system with the existing skill-based learning. As such, our education will be relevant for getting a job or for earning a livelihood. With that, our people can innovate, can evolve the system. As such, we can match with the requirement of the globe, or we can match with the aspiration of the people in the way the society is changing. Because education is always a central point for a central function for evolution of the society or for the growth of the society. So slowly, in last 1 decade, this country is trying hard to put design as one integral part of each and every education being imparted in this country. It can be engineering, it can be business, it can be mathematics, it can be commerce, it can be science. In each and every course, each and every sector of studies, the design is becoming slowly the integral part. And what we are doing, either we are putting it as the experiment, we are putting it as a project, we are putting it as an activity, or we are affiliating it with the industries and taking it as the course, as the internship. And slowly design has become the integral part. And if you see that now, why design is becoming the integral part? Because society is changing too fast, and while society is changing, the aspiration of the society from each and every sector of learning, including the technology, is changing. Including the technology, including the design. I think that in whatever we are talking about, art and culture, the fashion design, the filmmaking, in those sectors, the changes are much more fast than I can say that technology. In technology today, we are saying that change period is 6 months, but in those sectors, change will be perhaps 30 days to 90 days. In design, we find that the changes are too fast. If some design has come today, maybe after 10 days, 15 days, some other design is taking in place. So innovation is continuous. So while we are saying that design is the integral part, and what you said that for designing, the hands-on is very much required. Yes, hands-on is very much required. But if you keenly see the basic essence of design thinking, the basic format of design thinking, the basic format of design thinking is based on our empathy to think through the people, that how the aspiration is changing, and to analyze the pattern of aspiration, that what was the aspiration, how the aspiration has changed in last 5 years, and how it will change in the next 6 months, and how the expectation from my particular field of education or field of profession will be changing in next 6 months or next 1 year. As such, I can prepare myself to develop a product and offer it to the society. So that should be the concept of each and every professional and each and every student of each of those professions, those who are actively involved in this. And that core essence, if it is being properly inculcated in the education system, that the critical thinking, the analysis, the understanding the people aspiration, empathizing it, and converting it to the ideation, and then paraphrasing and then execution, then only the design can continue as the integral part. Coming to the COVID, maybe for some time, it will disrupt our hands-on part. It will disrupt our hands-on, but I have seen in last 3 months, lots of things have changed. We have seen in the television and also in some mass media that they are taking the click of dances in every floor, and they are saying that now every floor is a dance floor. Now in academics, we have changed drastically. I can say that the academic sector, which has changed drastically in last 3 months, even when we could not think that the education can happen online, even to the school students, the nursery student, the primary school student, secondary school student online, and examination can happen online. Those students can prepare the activities and can upload it through WhatsApp to the teachers, and they can be evaluated by them, and again they can be reported back. I can say that lots of changes have happened. So now in design area also lots of simulation software are in place, and the design people also can take advantage of that. And I can say that if our academic system itself is changing and growing, the design education is having a very bright future. I can say that design has become the integral part of everything, and it can grow fast.
Thank you, and that really sets the ball rolling. I really appreciate the perspective that you have brought in, sir, ma'am. You started with the identification of self with the universe, because the hunger of design, good product lies in identification of the self with the universe. The connectivity is significant. You also spoke about Takshila, Nalanda, Vedic education, and how they were responsible to the society. So any product today which is socially productive and utilitarian can and has to be design focused. And the few key skills that you identified: critical thinking, empathy, understanding aspirations of people, and creative thinking. These are some focus areas for a person to be design oriented. I also appreciate the aspect of techno-savvy education on the rise, simulations on the rise, which help design thinking and design production. So these are some of the key points that Professor Sushmita Samanta put before us. Madam is the Pro-Vice Chancellor of KIIT University, for those who have joined late. And there will be a lot of other discussions. We will have questions as we go ahead. I invite the second speaker, Dr. Deepali Singhji. And Dr. Deepali Singhji is a very well-known name in Calcutta, because the institute that she leads has been at the forefront of design education for quite some time. It's, I think, one of the earliest educators in design. Professor Dr. Deepali Singhji, principal of J.D. Birla Institute, which has been at the forefront of design education in Calcutta. Many new options have come up now, but Dr. Deepali Singhji and her institute has been there for, I think, a few decades. She would be able to tell exactly, and has been contributing to the design culture of this beautiful city of ours. Over to Professor Dr. Deepali Singhji.
A very good afternoon to everyone, and I hope everybody is safe during these challenging times. And thank you so much, Professor 𝐊𝐞𝐲 𝐏𝐸 for introducing me. Our college is, in fact, the only institute that is affiliated to the very prestigious Jadavpur University. We've been there for the last more than 5 decades. Our college is almost 57 years old, and it's been one of the most prestigious colleges in Kolkata. And I'm proud to be an alumnus of the same college. Without taking much time, and the speaker who just spoke, that is Professor Sushmita Samanta, she gave in a very good insight to how design is linked with every part of education, and that's going to become more prominent in the years to come. And since I have to restrict myself to the area of fashion designing and graphic designing, I would just like to, mention few important points. There are 2 parts which I would like to take up. One is this challenging time, which everybody has been seeing, which is quite, disturbing, and it has brought a lot of disruptions also. This specific time when we are talking about the industry, the garment industry and the fashion industry, it's facing a very challenging time, but again, there are positive sides to this particular industry where we can do certain things. But as of now, with retailers shutting their shops and, the entire supply chain going disrupted, there is a lot of problem, and people are having financial burdens due to layoffs and furloughs and pay cuts, and they are unable to purchase the garments that are being produced. So they are all getting piled up. Now, these are certain challenges which this industry is going to face, but it is something that we are going to very soon overcome, because as we know that fashion is ever changing and it's not going to remain static for long. But for those who are looking a career in this fashion field, there are certain things that I would like to, bring to your notice that you must look into. And the careers in fashion, or in fact, any part of design, if you look at it, they are very, very enormous. You can, in fact, create a career of your own or something which is absolutely new, because design is something which is an inbuilt part of everything which the universe has. If you look at nature, there is design and there is beauty all around. Now, today, when we are talking about education, very soon, when we are going to have this paradigm shift from the regular classroom teaching and moving on to an online platform, there is something where design is going to become an integral part. So there, graphic designing comes in. And I have always felt that, even when we are using the technological tools in the classrooms as teachers, there is a requirement of everyone to know a part of the graphic designing to make it much more interesting for the students. So even as students, when you are preparing presentations and details like that, there is a requirement that everybody needs a little bit of education on designing. So this is going to become even more comprehensive, even more important in the years to come, with online education becoming the major, way the education system in India is also going to function. We've been a little behind the schedule, but yes, we are catching on. Graphic designers, as such, can, build this gap, and every part of an industry now would need a graphic designer with, the commerce going on the e-platform, with education going on in the e-platform. There is a great requirement for this particular sector, and students looking for professions and careers in this area, there is a good time for you to now think about moving, from the stereotyped sectors of basic sciences and engineering. These are areas that are going to catch up and provide you with a better option, career option for the future. You can take up professions in the field as art directors. You can take up as craft and fine artists. You can be a desktop publisher, a drafter, an industrial and product designer, multimedia artist, technical writers, web developers, and you name it, the list just goes on. This is the area for the graphic designers. And since I have been asked to restrict my area to just these two fields, I have been, kind of researching and trying to see what are the various fields and areas that a graphic designer can work on. Even in my college, I would just like to share one small experience with me. In my college, it's an educational institution, and it's basically a college which is multi-faculty, having commerce, management, and basic sciences. We only diversified into the area of design very recently. So there was not much of design available. But today, anything you do in the college, whether it is an event, whether it is a brochure, whether it is an advertisement, everything involves some part of the design. So you see, if this time we utilize very well and we try to create a big career option for these designers, this is the best time. And every institute, every organization will very soon hire a designer, because they will have to keep abreast with the changing times and to manage their e-platforms, whether education or whether industry. Coming to the field of fashion, which is my subject area, because I have studied I've done my master's in textiles and clothing. Fashion designing is something which is going to get an absolute paradigm shift, and students who are just looking at fashion designing from the point of view of just the garments, I have just one thing to tell you, that fashion is just beyond, much, much beyond this. And there is so much of opportunities waiting for you, but you've just got to recognize, innovate, and find out these challenging areas. A few which I would like to just mention to you. That is, we all know that the Indian handlooms has been taking up, and although it's been a slow fashion, it is making a mark world over. But somehow the interest in Indian handlooms and Indian fashions is not very visible. Only few people have gone into this profession. even during this pandemic, I can only tell you the plight of the weavers. I've been recently getting a lot of emails from the weavers of Fulya, sending their designs online, just trying to make the best of it, because they know that it's going to be very tough for them. They have no expertise in the area of e-platforms and selling it online. So they've been trying to reach out to customers that they know. But if children and youngsters like you looking for careers in this field, this is another major area that you can look up to and take it on from there. Many people have diversified into making simple masks. There are many government units that they've just moved on to making the PPE kits and face masks and things like that. This is just, taking this opportunity that you have right now in your hands. But such opportunities will exist, and careers in fashion is going to lead you to much. It is a multifaceted area, and you will definitely be able to take up several professions which are not just mentioned in the stereotyped careers in fashion design.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dipali Singhi. I would mention two questions for you. You think
Yes.
over them. I will come back to you after the speakers are done. One, because these questions are coming from the audience. So
Sure.
One question is scope of internship and placement, specifically in graphics and web in the current situations, internship and placements in design, specifically in graphics and web. And second, the future of IT in fashion industry post-COVID, the applications of IT in fashion industry post-COVID. These two questions. Sashmita ma'am, I leave a question for you as well. If you can just note down, pandemic impact on lifestyle and design choices of people. Pandemic impact on lifestyle and design choices. Sashmita ma'am, will come back to this question later on after we are done with the first round. Yes, before I go to the next speaker, there is a question asked to me from one of the gentlemen in the audience, Pradeep Kumar Nath. He is asking, great meta-narrative of digitally divided society created by COVID, exclusivity as offshoot of COVID-19. Yes, it is an offshoot of COVID-19, no doubt, but COVID has not created a digitally divided society. It is we the people, the civilization, and those who run the society have actually created a digital divided society. If it is economically divided, if it is divided on health issues, if it is divided on food security, it is normally and naturally divided on digital access as well. And digital being technology of aspect is furthermore divided. So the problem is with our development model, not with COVID. COVID is only exposing it, that is already there in the society. We need to understand that the development model, which focuses on GDP numbers, on growth figures only, is a wrong way of looking at the development. Development has to look at the development of the people at the lowest level. Development is to look at the happiness quotient of the society. There are nations in the world which are calculating gross national happiness as well. So, going ahead, to bridge digital access, I would first begin by saying, just as we have roti, kapda, makan, shiksha or swasth, 5 elements for a dignified life, there is now the 6th element, digital access. These 6 elements together will determine a dignified life. And therefore, the government of India today is spending 2.4% in education, public education. This must not be less than 5%. And this additional doubling of the money has to be spent on creating digital access for students across government schools, colleges, and across the nation. Digital India has to be a reality and not a slogan. I am appreciating that several state governments have started realizing it. Delhi has 16% of their budget spent for education. If Bengal has 5.1% of their budget spent for education. Tamil Nadu has 6.4% spent for education. 5.9% is what Kerala spends. It is important to note, all across the world, most nations spend 5% plus in public education, and we must follow suit. There are many states who are not doing, and central budget is still 2.4%. This is the point. If we invest more, there will be infrastructure created. Also, private sector should come out with their CSR work completely focused on digital access. Telecom companies should come out with special packages for students and teachers, because they need to really bring the entire learning community and the mentoring teaching community within the digital access ambit. And there are many other things that can be done to break this exclusivist character of digital divide that Mr. Pradeep Nath is speaking. For lack of time, I'll not go further on that. Thank you very much. We move to further. We will have Mr. Alex Velasco, Dean of School of Design at Pearl Academy. Pearl Academy is a leading design institute of the country. We are all aware of Pearl Academy's name. I had been also the media dean at one point of time at Pearl Academy. So we have Mr. Alex Velasco, and the spotlight is on you, Mr. Velasco. We can go ahead with your deliberation, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chowdhury. And it's a real honor to be here amongst these esteemed guests. What I'd like to do is just address a couple of questions. One is, what is design? And the second one is, what is design thinking? Because you brought it up at the beginning, so I thought it would be a good time just to sort of like step back and ponder these words. So, of course, you know, human beings design, right? We design things, and this is sort of implicated in technology and tool use, using tools and so forth. So, if you decide to, let's say, build a shelter, you might think first, okay, where's the shelter going to be? What am I going to make it of? How am I going to construct it? And all those things. All that sort of thinking is essentially design, as we understand the term. So any kind of effort to modify our environment or our world for a particular purpose is design. So the planning, that is, the planning of that effort is designing. And so, of course, as I said, design is implicated in technology, and in recent, let's say, the last century or two, human society has undergone tremendous revolutions, which are technological revolutions, starting famously with the Industrial Revolution, and which actually goes back earlier than 200 years ago, maybe 300 years ago. So, and at that point of time, you have tremendous, let's say, technical expansion in technical ability, you know, in human society. And you have these new fields like engineering, who were the people who looked after the engines, okay, the engineers, and other areas. And engineering splits up into many sub-disciplines and so forth. So today we have a situation where all of these people are involved in design. You have engineers design. So when we say, when I say, for example, to an engineer, well, I'm a designer, they would obviously say, yes, so am I. And you have whole swathes of, you know, engineers. You have mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, you have, you know, structural engineers, civil engineers, so forth. And they're all involved in design. And in many fields of society, I mean, you have, for example, design in genetics. You have, let's say, advertising, people designing marketing campaigns. You have professionals, economists or whatever, designing new financial instruments and so forth. So this is design. People are manipulating things and trying to achieve certain outcomes. So that's the general term design. But of course, this is now the ABP Education forum on design education. And somehow when we say design education, we're talking about something more specific. And that is the sort of like those disciplines that have the term design attached to them. Take, for example, fashion design, graphic design, interior design, industrial design, things like that. They have this word design. And that's also a pretty new profession that emerges also with the Industrial Revolution. A bit of a history. Of course, our esteemed panel knows this, but I'm saying it just for the young people who might be hearing and may be a bit confused about these terms, I think, as I was. So the design professions are kind of very interesting because, in fact, the word design comes from the French word for drawing. So a designer was somebody who could draw, funnily enough. And they would, therefore, somebody who could draw tended to be artistic and that kind of thing. And for many industries, it was quite important to have artistic people. Let's say fashion industries and interior design industries, like, for example, furniture making, that kind of thing. So these people with industrial manufacturing became very much in demand. And, you know, India has evolved tremendously rapidly over the last century. It's a country, you know, and it's a country in the throes of these massive transformations. And so it is experiencing that. An industrial sector that's growing more and more competitive, an industrial sector that's being now competing now internationally and so forth. And so as Deepali Singhi also mentioned earlier, you have that need for design in order to fill that gap. But to sort of step back again, what are these design disciplines? Like, for example, fashion design. Well, we all have to wear clothing, but we don't just throw on some kind of sack over us, right? We have to wear clothing for social reasons, right? For various reasons, but we don't just throw over a rough sack. We take quite a lot of care in our clothing, and the care that we take has to do with the type of clothing that we're using, clothing for the right situation, like, for example, formal clothes, work clothes, casual clothing, and so forth. And we are also very careful about what we choose, what colors we choose, and that sort of thing. And when you go shopping for clothing, it can be quite difficult. Why? Because as consumers, we're engaging with design. We frequent certain stores because they seem to satisfy our needs more. And so consumers engage with design a lot, and young people also engage with design a lot and make choices accordingly. Like, for example, the types of shoes they wear, for example, the jeans they wear, and so forth. So that type has a lot to do with visual culture. And that type of visual culture design, I hope you can hear me, because I'm getting a message that my connection is unstable. So that visual culture dimension is what is unique to design. People sometimes use the word art, but I prefer visual culture. So, you know, a computer coder can code up a website, but it takes a graphic designer to make the website tolerable to users. An engineer can make a gizmo, but it takes an industrial or a product designer to make it very usable to users. Engineers, of course, can come together and produce a car, but it takes designers to make that car absolutely, utterly desirable on the road, and you know, to have people lining up to buy it, and so forth. So design plays an important role in contemporary consumer society and industrial society, and that's about design. Hopefully, I've helped some people with that. Now, the next thing is design thinking, and no, design thinking is not just thinking about design, nor is design thinking the same as just design. Design thinking is a term that came out, let's say, in the early 2000s to describe a process. It's a kind of an innovation, problem-solving process. And as our Professor Sasmita Samanta also mentioned, it's a process where you have phases. You have this empathetic phase where you try to understand the needs of the users. You work in teams, for example. You brainstorm, so it's incredibly creative, very deeply creative process. You prototype, so you try to make something. You try to make the thing in sort of cheap and easy prototypes to test it, in other words. You test it and so forth. And that process has turned to be very useful. So people in many industries, engineers, designers, of course, use it, but people in other industries, librarians, you know, public sector workers and so forth, are using design thinking because it's better than, let's say, being tasked by somebody, you know, John, you the engineer, you solve this problem for us. So design thinking is a new process that's evolved that helps people solve problems, innovate, and so on.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Alex. Thank you. And I really appreciate these two critical points you brought. That design is critical in a society which is marked by industrial growth and consumer aspirations. Because both industrial growth and consumer aspirations need a certain quality of production, quality of services and products. And one of the critical or core part of that quality is the design. So that's a one good point. And second good point, design thinking, which is an innovation problem solving process. Please note the words of Mr. Alex. Innovation problem solving process, which is solutions and aspirations focused on aspirations of the consumer and giving a solution, creating prototype before getting into the final product. So this approach is a design thinking approach, and these were, and many others were critical points brought forth by Mr. Alex. A question for you, the answer will take a little later. The question is, world-class design school in post-pandemic period, what is your outlook? What is your perception of a world-class design school in post-pandemic period? I find Sashmita ma'am is already there. Sashmita ma'am, there are two questions to you, but I will come to for the answers a little later. Pandemic impact on lifestyle and design choices. This is one question. The other question is Vedic education and design. You mentioned this. Can you explain further? But we'll come back to you in a little while. Please come back. Even if you're traveling, please come back online in some time. We move further and we invite Professor 𝐊𝐿𝐴 Banerjee, Director of NSHM Design School. One of the Kolkata's very prominent educational group is NSHM Group. I had the pleasure of working with them as well and setting up the media school for them. And 𝐊𝐿𝐴 Banerjee is today fronting the design school of NSHM. Over to Professor 𝐊𝐴 Banerjee, please.
Very good afternoon to all of you.
Yes. Full screen. Yes.
So I would like to first thank Professor 𝐾𝐲 ABP Education for creating this platform. So I welcome all my fellow panelists this afternoon, and all those who have joined in, have taken their time out and joined this webinar. So I represent a group which is called NSHM Knowledge Campus. We are almost a 24-year-old education group in the eastern part of the country. We have campuses in Kolkata and Durgapur. And we offer almost 70 programs through our 7 portals. And School of Design is one of the portals. At School of Design, we offer programs in fashion design, animation, graphic design, visual effects, filmmaking, and interior design. We offer them both at the postgraduate and the undergraduate level. So when I got this invitation for this webinar, and it said design education, the new future, now which is probably the most challenging question doing the rounds, and
yeah, continue.
Can we go to the next slide? How do I maneuver the slides?
You just said next slide.
Next slide, please. So when the lockdown happened in the month of March, and we were running a design school, and it was very critical time when it shut down. Exams were forthcoming, university exams were forthcoming. Students were in the last leg of doing their final projects, graduation projects. And as we all know, that a graduate show is something which is very, very close to the heart of all those pursuing a design education, because that is the first time they get to exhibit themselves as independent designers. But what to do? We said, okay, welcome to new normal, and we were on with our online classes from the 20th of March. It helped us doing it very quickly because we were already operating on a ERP platform. And so a lot of things. Our LMS was on a digital platform. Our attendance, our submissions, projects, we were already on a digital platform. So that gave us a first advantage. And so what is this new normal in design education? So as we all know that laptops, desktops, and iPads have become the new classroom. The virtual classroom is gone. Online and virtual learning for a change has become more credible in the Indian perception. The Indian perception towards online education and distance learning was not always very, very credible compared to regular classroom learning. So I think there's some kind of change in mindset which is now coming in. So which has brought in a lot of flexibility of on-demand learning, teaching. We have great trainers who are now accessible to us globally. Not that we did not have the technology, probably we did not have the culture. So post-COVID, this entire virtual culture has also made us accessible and people agree. In fact, I was talking to somebody yesterday from and he's also a design educator from Canada, and he says, why not? This sounds interesting. Probably I could do a class online, which probably he would have said no to, 6 months back, because we did not have the culture. And so today we are talking about a future which is about a blend of online and offline teaching. Now, the moment we say online and offline teaching in a discipline like design, there are some very critical questions which come up. That how do we refine this entire merger? How do we, because design, as 𝐿𝐿𝐲 said in the beginning, my previous speaker said, that it is a hands-on experience. You have to come out with an outcome which is hands-on. So how do you blend that online teaching with offline outcomes? So that is one question which is really going up. And so what we have here is that hence our student engagement has to be redefined. Parents today have become extremely important stakeholders in the learning process, because they have to, we actually had to make them understand that your child needs a laptop and your child needs a good broadband connection. So connectivity, infrastructure, all that. So these are important things that have started coming in, and students they now really require a lot of support and hand holding. As we all know, that design as a career option is getting popular in our country. In the last 10 to 12 years, there's been an exponential rise in the number of design schools which have come up, because the industry has been very promising, growing at a rate of 23 to 25% annually. The VFX industry alone is showing a growth of about 20%. Design institutes are now being, design institutes and industry, they've started working together. Although there's a lot of gap, there's still lots to be done in that segment. And rising demands for demand for creative careers by the generation next. So it is not like a situation which is 20 years back, where after 10+2 you had engineering or a medicine or a commerce. So now your options are varied, and the generation next is interested. I have met a lot of people who have pursued science in standard 12, and they come to design education, and I asked them, why not engineering? They said, no, we thought design would be more interesting to study. And India requires almost 12,000 new designers every year in different roles, but still we have a shortfall of 60% in there. Next slide, please. So what is this new neo design education that we are talking about? So the neo design education talks about a T-shaped competence, developing a T-shaped competence, and this is a metaphor. We say that design education starts with a metaphor of developing a T-shaped competence, where the vertical is your in-depth study into the discipline, and your horizontal is your integrative understanding of life situations, of the society around you, of popular culture, popular thinking, all of that. So we're talking about an integrated model, which now we have to kind of keep in loop as we are progressing into an online delivery platform. So this T-shaped competence also brings in things like interdisciplinary approach to design education. Of course, we all understand here that design education is not a standalone discipline. It has a lot of interdisciplinary aspects which keep on coming to it. So there's a lot of art and design history which comes in. There's a lot of sociology, psychology, consumer behavior, way people think. So all these things are integrated. Life skills, so developing life skills in students who and making them smarter for the new world, imbibing them elements of leadership and team skills. And this is an ongoing process which we all do. But in the new normal, this has to also transform through online delivery. So we're talking about not rethinking design, but design rethinking. We're saying we are not rethinking design, but we are redesigning thinking. We want to redesign the way we think, and which now is very, very apt. We had to do this. We had to redesign our entire thinking process and pattern in the last 3 months to keep it updated to our academic delivery. School curriculum to include design, creative, and critical thinking. And my previous speakers have talked about design thinking, and they've given different connotations to design thinking, and which I think has to now come into the school curriculum, where we develop this in children from a very early age. We have to develop more industry projects so that students are engaged. We have to talk about getting more technology, so artificial intelligence, virtual reality, augmented reality, all these things are going to become very, very important. We as an institution, we've already delved into integrating artificial intelligence, virtual reality. In fact, we're very, very soon going to offer a short course on virtual reality, basic and advanced. And the most important, which is employability skills and industry ready. So while we are redesigning our academic delivery, while we are saying that, okay, new normal and neo-design education, equally important is that we do not miss out on developing their employability skills and making them industry ready, which we do anyways. But so this is again a transition which has to happen in the digital platform. Next slide, please. So what are the new normal teaching tools? Now, we have been practicing some of them, but it becomes extremely difficult to give the same experience. So let's say for something like experiential learning is a very, very critical element of design education. Now, so we're talking about digital content for student engagement. So we have to keep on creating a lot of digital content for student engagement. Virtual design studios are the order of the future. So we have to kind of get into now virtual design studios, podcasts and videos, digital repository, virtual evaluation of practical assignments, which has become extremely challenging. It is probably easy to do an online jury with people pursuing animation or graphics program, but it is extremely difficult to do a virtual jury with a person who's done fashion design, and let's say all fashion design students were in the final stages of their garment construction.
Yeah, Professor Banerjee, kindly finish within a minute. It's very interesting, particularly the new design education concept is very interesting, but because of time constraint, kindly finish in a minute. Next 1 minute.
And virtual graduate showcase, which is probably unimaginable. Some of my students have started suggesting it. So can we have a virtual graduate showcase? So more food for thought. Final challenges. I always say that challenges are opportunities for us. So our biggest challenge right now is virtual academic delivery and evaluation. There's a scarcity, and the scarcity of quality and qualified design faculty is not a challenge, which is a new challenge in the new normal. This is a challenge which we keep on facing, especially when you're running a university program, and the university is very specific about the qualification of the trainer. So and then you get many trainers who have a lot of industry experience and background and probably might not have the right qualification. Industry academia gap, this has to kind of come together. Affordable design courses, this is extremely important in our country. I have been to seminars where the first question is, so what is your fees? I said, is that the first question? He says, before I listen to you more, I should know whether I can afford you, right? So we're talking about a DAT, design aptitude test at a national level, which is something like a CAT or a MAT or engineering, AIEEE exams. We need to have flexibility in university curriculums, which give us more space for more innovation for evaluation. Online design education is one area where there's a lot of food for thought and design career awareness. So overall, we are moving into a new situation, a new normal, where it is extremely challenging for a discipline like design, which is more of hands-on and skill development. But I'm sure this whole design educator community will keep on evolving and keep on exploring and suggesting new tools. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Banerjee. It has been very perceptive presentation, I might say. And this concept of neo-design education, T-shaped, with integrated understanding of society and culture at the top and deep dive into one domain of design at the bottom. This is a very unique way of presenting the talk, and also the new opportunities in design education, which you explained as well towards the end, that these are the gaps and these gaps can be filled up. Very perceptive, and we'll take questions a little later. For you, there are two questions, Professor Banerjee. Design costs and COVID impact on them. The costing of design activity and the COVID impact, that's one. And second, campaign designs and fashion photography. What's the future post-COVID? Campaign designs, particularly brand campaign designs, and role of fashion photography. How in the new normal will function. These we'll take up later on. We'll have Professor John Sengupta, Head of the Department Fashion, INIFD Salt Lake. INIFD is a national brand with branches all over the country. It's a very well-known brand. We have the fashion head of the department, Professor John Sengupta, to speak next. Yes, Professor Sengupta, are you there?
Yes. Yeah, sure. I'm here.
Highlight on Professor Sengupta, please. Host may highlight Professor Sengupta. Yes, please continue.
Yeah. Thank you, Professor Chaudhary, and thank you so much for your recognition. Good evening to all my dear friends. This is John Sengupta from INIFD Salt Lake, and we are celebrating 25th glorious years and into this field, into the field of fashion and interior. So I'm really privileged to get these invitations and to talk about these the things what my seniors have already spoken, and it's a beautiful moment that I'm sharing all such valuable points. So today I'm going to talk about certain valid points that what actually we are all doing in our personal life, and along with my students and myself too. So what we think is, like, because of this pandemic situation, we are forced to stay back at our home, and we are actually forced back because it was not our choice. So the thing is that we have done lots of activities while staying back within this pandemic situation. So this is the time where we have realized certain things, that we have so many things and so many options in our life, but because of our busy schedule, we have forgot all certain things that we could have stressed and we could have focused on. But the thing is that we have not actually noticed that there are so many talents, there are so many things that what we have within ourselves. So this is a self-realization period. For me, it's a self-realization period where you can recollect all your memories. Yes, you can do certain things in your life. So if I talk about in the fashion field, there are lots of my students, those who are undergoing with this situation, and they are the students of INFD Salt Lake. Even they have also recollect such a beautiful memories that apart from this fashion, they can do lots of other things also, a part of their daily lives. So being a fashion designer, we all know that we are such a important, we have some important role in this society. So we have to understand that being a fashion designer, we have to rather showcase our talents, obviously, and we have certain responsibilities for the society. So in case of certain showcasing of the responsibilities, we all know that that this fashion world is the largest polluting industry. So we have certain responsibilities to prove right now, yes, we can stop certain things, and we can have a beautiful art, and we can save our art in a very nice way. So today my topic is all about your ethical and sustainable fashion, which is something very, very relevant with this situation. And if I talk about ethical fashion, the first thing which comes to my mind is basically the social good. How can we save our society? And being a designer, obviously, we have certain responsibilities for the society. So if I think about my society, I think I should think that we should have to take care of our society in certain aspects. That means we can make a fair certification, we can go for a fair utilization of a resource material, we can have a fair labor kind of thing, and we can have a fair price also. So I think this social awareness is one of the most important thing where we can connect with the society, and then we have to be planet friendly also. So in other certain things that in this scenario, present scenario, we have to think about our planet also, as because this is a high time for us to understand that yes, we have to save our earth, and we have to stop polluting this earth in so many other ways that what we do. And apart from this, the third point that I want to add to this ethical fashion is the animal cruelty free world. That means we are not going to hamper any animals. We are not going to kill any kind of animals. I can talk about Ahimsa silk. Few days back, I was talking to the designer Archana Kochar, as she was recollecting herself that she was highlighting this Ahimsa silk in New York Fashion Week, her total collection. So that was a wonderful moment that I was talking to Archana ma'am, and it was a brilliant way of cultivating of these kind of brilliant ideas of doing the things. So these are the all tools that we need to adopt in our daily life to save our society. Being a designer, it's always being a responsibility. We need to show our responsibility towards the society, and we cannot ignore that.
Great.
Okay. Now, according to this pandemic situation, that's what I have clearly mentioned earlier, that we have been locked down for a number of months, around 3+ months. So it's basically we have been stuck around. It was a depression. There was long thing. There was nothing as such. So with due course of time, the things came to our mind, in each and every mind, that yes, we have to fight back. So this is just a scenario going around us. I hope this is going to be there are going to be a positive scenario marching ahead. Within few days, we are going to get a positive feedback, obviously. But in this situation, the first thing which we need to have a sustainable fashion. That means how to sustain the fashion in the industry for future. And what I have already talked about, ethical fashion. So ethical fashion is not about the trend of future, as we all know, and basically it's the future of the fashion. Ethical fashion is the future of the fashion. So if I talk about sustainable fashion, so we need to think about the eco-friendly awareness. That's what I have already spoken before. So the responsibility to the next generation is more important, that we have to make them understand how and why and what should be the procedures we need to adopt while to do these procedures. So according to me, in this fashion world, we have to understand the sustainability. That means of using so many elements. I can recollect some of my memories.
Mr. Sengupta, I will ask you to take a break here, and we will come back to you second time. And please explain. You are talking very correct perspective of sustainable fashion. What is the future of high fashion industry, and why slow fashion will be the new normal, and how eco-friendly fashion education can be given or can be practiced, both. These aspects on this, you'll spend a second round. Just wait for a few minutes. Let's listen to the other three speakers and get back. So we will move further. We'll move to Professor 𝐊𝐿 Mukherjee. He is the head of the Department of Emerging Technologies in Design, in Media, in Communication, and in Entertainment. So of Makaut University, everyone is aware of Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad University of Technology. So we will request Professor 𝐊𝐿 Mukherjee to present the next round of discussion, and I'm sure he will be talking about modern emerging technologies. Over to Professor Mukherjee.
Yeah. Can you see my?
Yes,
okay.
We can see.
And my voice also.
Yes,
okay.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, industry colleagues, my beloved students, and our great moderator, Professor UKC.
Thank you,
very good.
Thank you, 𝐊𝐿 Babu. Please make the screen full screen if you can make.
Okay.
Yeah, continue.
It's okay, no?
It's okay. It has not come full yet, but just at the bottom on the right side at the bottom there is Now fine. Please continue.
Okay, now?
Yeah.
Okay. So thank you so very much for this afternoon. And from deep of my heart, I believe that everyone here is healthy and safe today. Yeah, my idea is the futuristic design is that the design should, you should do the evolution first, and it should be implemented very successfully, and this particular future design in the right side, I will discuss absolutely in my last slide. In mid-80, after my engineering, I joined the design team of an automobile company to develop the first sedan in India. We supplied a CNC machine, and which can cut, the entire sheet metal automatically and bend it and do all the work absolutely automatically according to your design. Why I'm showing this? There is a difficult part of this. Can you see that? Okay, this particular part, sipping water at the rainy season. They said that it is not a design problem, it is a machine problem. And we said it is a design problem because of according to your design, we cut it, we do all this work and all the things. But they said, no, it is not. But unfortunately, what was happen afterwards, they said that, okay, let it be. And it will be like that. After that, the history everybody knows. We do not have Contessa in the road, okay? Because of, the bad design never sustain. Always keep these things in your mind that sustainability is very, very low. And if you see that particular idea that a 10 minutes usage of a bad design by our total populations, 30% of our total populations is equivalent to the wastage of 18 billion man-hour per year. Can you believe a 10 minutes? And 10 minutes bad design we are using very, very frequently. Now, I deeply believe that we should take care of this, that what is the bad design, what is good design. This is first part of it. Now, afterwards, I was in the S4.
Professor Mukherjee, are you still in the first slide or you are moving ahead?
Moving ahead.
But I am only seeing the first slide on the screen. It's still the first slide. I don't know. Okay, you do this way, huh? Okay.
Yeah, third one. Okay.
Yes. No, do this.
So
way.
this is the
Please
third
continue.
one, and I'm showing this particular part that the water is sipping from this particular part. Okay. Now I'm coming to that one where I said that the bad design can do what? Okay. After that, I said that I was in that AS400 team, and probably some of you may knows these things. AS400, one of the marvelous machine in the world, even in India also, be it designing or be it electric generation company or be it anything. But I'm talking about this particular machine is 90s. Clear. Now here in this particular machine, AS400 shows me that exactly what is designing are. How to change it? Okay. Now the first time I touch a design. This is first time I touch a design. Design is an iPod box, not the iPod. I'm not talking about the iPod. I was in abroad and I purchased an iPod and come back to home and open the box, and it is marvelous. You can believe it. What is that box is? Okay, it is just divided into two parts. Probably everybody knows that what is their box and all the things. Okay, and it is a kind of on that particular time, it's a Pandora's box. It is beyond my imagination. If a company develop a box with so affection and love it, it should be a prime design company. The box is preserved by me for last 2 decades, but I do not have the product with me. Now you can believe that what is the design and all this. That is the reason till that, even today also, people are queued in throughout the night in front of the Apple stores when they want to launch a product. Now again, the disruption part. Basically, these 3 companies, everybody knows this 3 logo is a very, very interesting and very important logo. It's Adobe, Avid, and Apple. These 3A or 3 musketeers, you know, they are one of the real disruptor in the creative industry. This is seriously, they are doing a huge work. Before that, I'm just talking about the 2000. Before that, we need a brush to paint a design. We need a scissor, a pair of scissors, or a glue to paste a film. We need and it's a huge pain to make an audio, to embed audio into a video. It's a huge kind of a pain. But luckily, with the help of these 3 companies, did something, and the real disruptions was there. Okay. Now I'm coming to my part. Okay, that AR, VR, MR, XR, ML, and all this. Okay. This is the mantra of disruptions. We cannot discuss at length of this particular area because of Professor 𝐊𝐿𝐲 will ask me, hey, time is over. But you know, you can design a music with just a stick, simple. You do not need any tools, and you can repair a car and all this. Okay, this is possible. This is very much possible. You can explain to your students also that what is Boeing, how Boeing is, you know, operate and all this, which is very difficult. Nobody allow you to go inside a Boeing machine and dismantle from a flight and all that. Okay, so this is one of the biggest part in the world at this moment, that AR, VR, MR, XR, AI, ML, and this will give you the future part of it. Now I already told you that I will discuss this absolutely in the last, that exactly what is this. I think some of us, we understand what is this. This is called transmedia. Transmedia is absolutely a very new in thing for the design, for the media industry, for the creative industry. I'm just giving some example as a kind of a food for thought. I'm asking all the students also. I got a very simple question. Okay, that what is Harry Potter? Harry Potter is a book, isn't it? Harry Potter may be a film. Harry Potter is a fan group. Harry Potter is a puppet show. Harry Potter is a fan fiction. Harry Potter is a Pottermore. Harry Potter is a Potter World in Disney. Harry Potter is a different merchandise shop. Harry Potter is a single product disrupted to delivery in different field. This is the future. This is one of the biggest future, that your one product, one small book disrupted into many fields. And that is seriously the future. Now I have started my slides from a very bad news, that the bad design part of it. Let me explain you another good design in automobile industry also. And I'm on time, no?
You have to finish in next 1 minute. Kindly finish in next 1 minute.
Okay, last 1 minute. So this is my last slide. This is basically, you know, Tesla. I was there last year during the launching of the E-Series machine, and it is something, you know, I just can't believe it. It is a car or something. Uh, it's in Geneva, in Switzerland. Okay, they allow us to travel quite a huge number of kilometers. But during that travel, I felt that this is not a car. This is a travel machine with a huge opportunity and a big entertainment. Thank you so very much.
Thank
I'm
you.
just giving some
Professor,
glimpses.
Thank you, Professor Mukherjee. I'm a little confused. Which is the better design, the man or the car out there on the picture? Okay.
I cannot see the man because it is behind this.
No, the man is also there. Okay, the question that I would leave with you, and we'll come back to you at the end, is AR, VR, MR. What value addition does it do to design? Is it only about pepping up the look and feel, or there is an impact in the real utilitarian sense? What is the impact? That's one. And secondly, very good discussion you did on good bad design and transmedia storytelling. If you could give an example with respect to regular media and entertainment today, how transmedia storytelling can change the nature of communication, entertainment communication. We'll come back to that later on. There was a question. Yes, you can please come out of the screen share, please. And we can move to the rest of the presentation, please. You can stop the screen share kindly. Yes. And there was a question from Dr. Subhranshu Pan. Government academic calendar, you are asking. Dr. Pan, government is already told that there cannot be classes till August 31st on campus. So as on today, it means by default that we are supposed to start our sessions from September, physical session, face-to-face session, from September 1. But the situation might always change. As you know, we had a lockdown when the numbers are less than 1,000 people, and we are having now unlocking when the numbers are 5 lakhs plus. So therefore, this situation is completely different. So there could be a situation, just like as IIT Bombay and IIT Delhi have announced, that there could be one semester of completely online education. However, if you ask me personally, and I'm sure most of the faculty members here are looking forward to seeing our students beyond these boxes in the screen, seeing our students face to face. We are waiting for a phygital experience, physical plus digital, face to face and online. However, the situation is, as on today, September 1, which might change. We have the next speaker, and thank you, sir, for waiting patiently for your turn to come. Professor Subhrajit Roy Chaudhary, Head of the Department of Multimedia of Brainware University, a university very well known for multimedia for a very, very long time. Over to Subhrajit Roy Chaudhary, please.
Good afternoon, all panelists and all the participants here. I'm Subhrajit Roy Chaudhary from Brainware University. Brainware University provides undergraduate and graduate, postgraduate level courses in a lot of disciplines. Among them, some of the disciplines are animation, multimedia, and media science. Now, another aspect of design or design is also followed in advertising, which is one of the components of our programs. I would like to talk about an aspect of advertising, the evolution of advertising mediums, how they adapt to the changes in the world around us. Now, around us, we see a lot of advertising mediums, which grows simultaneously side by side. With changing human needs and habits, these mediums of advertising evolved. The first forms of advertising that we have seen in pre-printing era was the first forms of advertising that we have seen in the pre-printing era was papyrus being used by the Egyptians to make messages and wall posters. That is the first forms of advertising. Then in the pre-printing era, we also had town criers in most of the developed civilizations of the ancient world, who used to sell products by oral medium, by crying out or giving slogans about their products. In Middle Ages in Europe, since the general population was more or less illiterate, sign became the best form of communication. That's how signages appeared. With the advent of printing techniques, firstly, there evolved many manual printing techniques which helped in developing print advertising. And then there was machine-based techniques which revolutionized the field of advertisement. Large number of advertising mediums emerged. More advancement in printing machines and materials led to the emergence of a varied ways of advertising in print media. Then in 1920s, radio emerged and we got habituated to listening to radios. It provided yet another interesting media of advertising. In July 1st, 1941, we first got a TV commercial which was aired in United States. It was a commercial of a watch company. We got the first audiovisual media of advertisement, which was much more interesting and expressive, and it provided a formidable competition to print media advertisement. Then as we got net savvy and internet became a way of life, a new media of advertising emerged, which is web media. As we started to commute more and more in our career pursuits, we got different advertising mediums in the form of transit advertising and street furniture advertising. When film and entertainment gained importance in our lives, it gave birth to a new medium, which is guerrilla advertising, and which is a form of disguised advertising. So thus we see with changing times and changing habits of human beings, we adapt to those changing times, and a new form of advertising emerges, and we get to express ourselves in different ways. Now today, mobile phones are indispensable in our lives. Hence, through mobile phones, we are getting to use many new mediums of advertising. In the last 3 months of lockdown, where all other mediums of advertising suffered a jolt, radio advertising has increased. Then here also we see this is also pertaining to human habits. Since we are in the lockdown period, we are at home listening more to radio programs. This is giving us more opportunity to advertise over radio. Thus, what I want to say is adaptability is the key factor. With the changing situation of the world, we have to adapt to the change and move on. And design also adapts to the situation around us and moves on and expresses itself through various mediums. So with this, I conclude my...
Thank you, Professor Roy Chaudhary. the focus on adaptability and focus on changing people's habits, impacting upon design is a very correct, and you have brought that in a historical context. What I will leave a question with you in the second round, I'll come back to you for a short answer on that. How people are having now restricted movement because of physical distancing, people are largely at their homes. And in this restricted movement scenario, their habits are changing. Consumption of digital media increasing, and distance is also bringing in certain adaptability changes. How this will impact on design, on multimedia design, this restricted movement and being at home, accepting situation as they are, this adjusting to it, how will it impact their design elements? With this question, we'll come back to you next time. And we have the last but never the least speaker here. We began with a lady, and I'm so happy today that we also are ending the first round with a lady. Miss Madhu Agarwal Amodia, Head of the Department, Head of Faculty, 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐜𝐬, is this started by, this is a French organization, I know, very well-known French organization, 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐜𝐬. Is that Bombay 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐜𝐬, which is that advertising professional who started, I forgot the name, Deshpande. Is that Ravi Deshpande? Is that?
He was a part of it, but this originally started from Paris in 2001 by two gentlemen called Mr. Frédéric and Mr. Clément.
Right. Okay. Over to you, ma'am, for
Thank
your
you so much.
perspective on design education.
Thank you, ABP, Mr. Chaudhary, and my colleagues to give me this opportunity. I think it's going to be a lovely evening. It's very interesting, but I'll take on from where Alex left. That design happens to be a French word. And since we are a French design institute, I wanted to start from there. 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐜𝐬 Lab is a global design campus. We started from Paris in 2001. Then we went on to open a campus in Aix-en-Provence. 2010, we opened a campus in Mumbai, which is really, really doing well, and it's very well known. And we've come to Kolkata in 2020. Here we've come in collaboration with Techno India University, which is one of the biggest education management groups in the eastern part of India. They have 100+ campuses here around engineering, management and other topics. But this is the first time we've done a collaboration where design is coming to Bengal through them. Hello everyone. So this is where we're going to talk about 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐜𝐬 Lab. My campus is a little niche in the sense that we specialize in some topics and we really go deep into it. We specialize in visual communication, game art and design, digital design, and now we are planning to introduce a contemporary art and design program in Kolkata. So like you can hear, almost all of these fields are extremely tech savvy and contemporary. So what happened during COVID-19 is all our campuses smoothly transited to the digital space and without almost any hiccup. And we had classes going on from next day online, which was commendable because we didn't expect everyone, each and every student to adapt so well, but that happened across our campus. When we talk about visual communication, which in the old world days we used to call it graphic design, but visual communication encompasses the visual and the words together, which come to give you a message. It's a huge industry. When we talk about from press to outdoors to your apps to website, everything is a part of visual communication world. And this is what students are exposed to. Digital design is a huge part of it. So to say the least, this is it's a growing need. So our students are doing exceptionally well. And somebody asked in the panel about the internship, and that's one thing which we again did online. All our students are placed and doing internship at the online stage with all reputed design agencies, which was a big plus for us, because eventually we are doing these all campuses here are there for students, and what we want is for them to succeed in whatever they are doing. So that was huge for us. Then the second area of expertise, which we actually do a lot of work in, is in game art and design. this program is developed by along with Ubisoft in collaboration. We all know that Ubisoft is one of the biggest gaming companies in the world, and this program looks into the aesthetics of game art and design, and we offer that expertise in our campus. To give you a little clue, gaming industry is growing rapidly. It's become bigger than any other entertainment industry in the world today. You can see, forget about those consoles, fancy consoles, and those high-tech machines you used to need in the past to play a game. But games have become now, video games have, and now you can play them on your mobile phone. I'm sure in this COVID-19 lockdown period, a lot of people have played a lot of games online and on video games. This is the future. And this is one of the tools, again, which is very massively explored in our campus. So when we are talking about design with the 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬 it's where the future is heading. So for us, per se, we keep on saying whether design is the future or future is design is almost synonymous for us. That's the space we are coming from. We've launched in Kolkata this year. We're going to have a campus in Salt Lake 2020. In spite of COVID-19, I must say that we got a really good response, and we are looking forward to interact with students in the East and come out with more talent and Skillshare, which can go global. They can work anywhere in the world. That's what the aim is. This is like, it is a challenging time, but during challenging times, you come out with new opportunities and new answers. This is what we are aiming for, and we are looking for an extremely progressive environment where students are able to do the best possible, blend the online and the offline space almost seamlessly, which is the aim. And from there, we step into something called blended learning, which we are eagerly looking into. Right now, in COVID-19, in spite of all of these drawbacks we have, one thing we all have realized how important virtual and digital space is. And once we all learn the benefits of it, I'm sure we are not going to let it go. So this will also become a part of our education platform and system, where you're going to integrate it completely with your offline learning process and offer students a blended program in future. Some of the other highlights which I do want to mention is, because of COVID-19 and because of going digital, world suddenly became a really small place. You have master classes happening from designers all over the world, and it's getting conducted in India, which is according to me a wonderful opportunity. There are some of these designers, I would die to attend their session or meet them. In my younger days, it was an impossibility. Nowadays, students are getting an access to that. So I think COVID-19, in spite of all its drawbacks, has given us this one thing which has made the world a lot more accessible and smaller as a place, which is huge. I think our future generation is going to enjoy that benefit a lot more and take it forward in their career. So for me, that was one of the biggest takeaways, was that, you know, you could interact with a gaming designer from France, from Poland, from Canada. You could work with a graphic designer in Britain, and you could do all that sitting in your house and exploring the tools which are with you, which digital world has already given you. So there's so much which can be done in this space. The future is mind-boggling, according to me.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Madhuji. And I really appreciate this point that you brought, that you can listen to anyone and everyone on this planet sitting from your home, yes, which was not so easy, which was not thinkable at one point of time. Neither culturally we were open to it, nor was so many things happening earlier online. Yes, a very good perspective. For those who keep asking, and even today, for the last 5 webinars of ABP that I've been associated, I find one set of people will always come and say, but what happens to the people in the villages who are so poor? What happens if they don't have a smartphone? Right. But those who have the smartphone, let's first reach out to them, and let's stress on the government to create an environment in which digital access is created for those who are not having it. No point of only lamenting on what is not there. Let's do what is possible. Let's reach out. If an individual is so perturbed reach out to 5 young people and make them have access to digital media rather than just lamenting for nothing. So let's make it a positive attitude to reach out to people as much as we can. And from that perspective, a very good point you brought. Gamification beyond virtual games. Virtual games for entertainment, we are aware of it. How beyond entertainment, how gamification can be used. Think on it. We'll get back to you for the next round of questions. Professor 𝐊𝐿𝐴𝐬𝐬𝐜𝐿𝐴 Samanta-ji, are you there? Professor 𝐊𝐿𝐴𝐬𝐬𝐜𝐿𝐴 Samanta, are you there? If you are there, then I have a question already noted. Yes. Yes, madam. Yes. So good. Thank you. You are waiting for last 1.5 hours to get back to. Yes. Pandemic impact on lifestyle and design choices of people. That's one question. And Vedic education and design, the connecting cord between the two. These two are questions for you from the audience. Over to Professor Sashmita Samanta, Pro Vice Chancellor, 𝐃𝐢𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬
understand that design is the structuring of the ideas or our thought processes in a systematic manner, what we understand about the design. If we see the Vedic system of education, and as my small knowledge coach and as a student of Vedic education, in Vedic education also they were following a systematic method of learning. As I said that in Vedic education they are focusing on self-consciousness and self-studies, where the focus was to learn about one's inherent talent, where he is the best, and he was motivated to do the things wherever the capacity lies. And in Vedic education, if you see that initially they were starting with the hymns, that how the pronunciation should happen and how the people should pronounce the hymns as such they can get the maximum benefit out of that. Second, after learning the pronunciation, they were being taught to practice the rituals. And after learning the rituals, they are being taught to apply it and to follow the method of yoga and meditation for realization of the benefits. As we say that if Veda is the knowledge, yoga and meditations are the application ways to get that knowledge. And third is that if you come to the third Veda of Sam Veda, the disciples are taught to concentrate on different points of sense, and they are being taught to sing or to exploit those sense points and to energize their own inherent talents and to get benefit out of that. So in the Vedic system of learning also, it was very scientifically designed that how learning should happen and how the students will apply it as such they can get the best of it. As I was saying that after the self-knowledge, the students were talked about the interconnectedness of the universal consciousness with interconnectedness with different people and different things. Then when we come to the design comes to our mind while we think about the people and while we think about through the people. That means we develop one connection with each and every individual to learn about their thoughts, their aspiration from a particular purpose. It can be from software, it can be from the fashion, it can be from the hardware like iPhone, it can be from laptops. What people really are aspiring from a particular product. So that is the interconnectedness they were establishing through Veda. Maybe if we take it as a design, it can be taken as a design, but the formal form of design, whether it was being used or not used, I cannot ensure about that.
Very well said. You have actually brought in a philosophical approach to user interface, what we call in modern times user interface, and have explained the context in that current aspirations and user experiences. Great, thank you very much, ma'am. We go to the next question to Dipali ma'am, Dr. Dipali Singhi, whose questions, the two questions I have: textile engineers in design sector, do they have a role? Textile engineers in design sector. And the other question is scope of internship and placements in design, particularly graphic and web.
I will take the first question, that is the scope of engineers in the textile design sector. Now, this is one area which is very less talked about in our country. because the fashion institutes basically do not cover up this area of textile engineering. And the engineering institute do have a lacuna in terms of the textile fashion, as we call it. That part of the technology is missing. So this gap is definitely existing. And if you see the good universities dealing with textile design as such, not just fashion design, they will be integrating the two together. So textile engineering, when it comes to talking about, say, I'll give you an example, like talking about smart textiles or talking about functional textiles, that's where an engineering plays a role, and there the design matters. So now this is something which is a gap in our country, and there aren't very few institutes that offer these kind of courses. But I was asked initially a question related to an IT in the fashion industry, and that again in the production sector as well as in the marketing and retailing sectors, there are two different aspects which are being covered up in most of the fashion courses which are taught across the country. And it is an integral part of the fashion industry, where students need to know the use of technology in terms of technology, as to say the IT technology, where roboting, the machinery is being automated. These kind of concepts have really come in. If you look at the good MNCs which are functioning in our country, most of them have got completely automated using these technologies. So these are areas that we should think about. We should bring in these kind of technologies very close to the students for them to have a kind of a hands-on experience. So, you know, taking students out to see what is happening across the world. We recently conducted one seminar on 3D garment fit. Now, these are not really taught at the college level or school level, because it's, you know, there is a kind of a disconnect between fashion as far as textile engineering is concerned. So this
Thank you.
is something which I would like to focus.
Yes, very good. Well, thank you. And scope of internship and placement today in COVID
Yeah,
times.
internship and placement today, you know, because of this lockdown and this special situation that has arisen, there has been a problem. It was not very difficult for people in the IT background or, you know, those kind of areas to find a good internship. But the proper training as far as fashion designing goes, you know, apart from getting some project work which were given by some companies, it was difficult. But as an institute, we came out because we have a mandatory internship at the end of every course. So it's an 8-week internship. And unfortunately, just because before the lockdown, just 2 days before the lockdown, we had to cancel it. And we had about 50 students going out of Calcutta for their internship. So that had to be cancelled. And we tried to, you know, substitute it with some kind of a training which we gave to our students. But during this lockdown, I think there was a crisis, and more internship were focused on the areas where children, you know, were more working towards the IT. And, you know, the diversified range of internships that were possible was quite limited. This was my view, but definitely fashion designing or any other kind of designing is an area where internship plays a very, very important role, and the courses should have that into their curriculum.
Perfectly said. Perfectly said. Thank you, ma'am. And keep doing the great job that you are doing. And I really appreciate also just now, you have been answering to questions on the chat box. That's for every panelist, please. That is the minimum that we can do, be interactive on the chat box directly, because all questions cannot be taken within a 2 hours time frame. So some of the answers can be given on the chat box. Thank you, Dipali ma'am, and look forward to not just digitally meet you, but physically meet you in your on your campus, campus as well.
Yes,
and
yes. You must come to our campus.
Yes, ma'am. And the issues that you brought up, kindly write a 1200 words article on that and let ABP Education.
I've already penned a part of
very
it.
Good, very good. Thank you very much. We move to the next speaker, Alex. Alex, if you could throw some light on Mr. Alex Velasco, the Dean of School of Design of Pearl Academy. If you could throw some light on this specific part that we put forth earlier, world-class design school in the light of the post-pandemic situation, because you cannot be making it very expensive at all on one side, and there are certain changes in the people's habits and practices on the other side. So what sort of a world-class design school outlook you have for the post-pandemic period? Over to Alex.
I think post-pandemic and pre-pandemic, I'm going to treat it as one. Because world-class design school is something, you know, it's you're setting the bar high, so let's not have too many impediments, you know, in the way. And also in the chat, in the Q&A, Mr. Boze also asked about whether design is art or whether it transcends art. So I'll address both. I think all the world-class design schools, in my opinion, have understand the interdisciplinary nature of design, and this goes to Mr. Boze's question. So the truth is that the design disciplines, as I said, you know, like say for example, graphic design, industrial design, you know, they emerge out of the arts tradition, the arts and crafts movements, and so forth. And they sort of set root in art schools kind of thing. So you had the artists doing painting, sculpture, that kind of thing. And then you had the so-called commercial artists. And that was, as I think an earlier panelist mentioned, was the name for graphic design. And but now, you know, if you think about getting a design education, you know, a designer needs to understand, let's say, art history from the art or the history department. They need to understand social issues from the social sciences department. They need to understand human psychology from the psychology department, cognitive psychology from the cognitive psychology department. They need to understand marketing from the business department. They need to understand management also from the business school. And, you know, you can more or less, by going to a large university, a liberal arts university, as they are called, or one of these large-scale research universities, they are immediately at an advantage, because the student can go to the source and learn history from the history department, learn psychology from the psychology department, and so forth. So a world-class university design, or let's say design school, would more easily be born in a context like that. And that context explains the interdisciplinary nature of design. The one sort of uniquely designed, let's say, a little bit like architecture. With architecture, it's good to know history, it's good to know politics and that kind of thing. But there's one core subject, which is architectural studio. And whether it's a course that's unique to architecture, whether it's a core studio like product design or fashion design or graphic design or, you know, game design, whatever, those core studios will be uniquely belong to the schools of design. And I think that's the only area. Otherwise, design is properly, I believe, interdisciplinary.
Right. Can we have quick responses to two other questions? Design thinking and education leveraging artificial intelligence in future. That's a question. Because we have only actually 10 minutes to go and there are many people to answer still the second round. So I'll request everyone to answer in one-liners. So design thinking and education leveraging artificial intelligence in future. Alex.
So, you know, artificial intelligence is coming out of, let's say, the computer sciences and that kind of thing. And designers will help. You know, if you just think of an Apple iPhone. It's got something called Siri, okay? Or Google has got Alexa. That's all got computer science underpinning it and coding. But the interface, the choice of interface, the speaker, the graphics, that kind of thing is design. So it's a combination.
Great, great. And there's a question on environment and design. Role of environment and how design can be eco-friendly.
I mean, it's a fundamental question that, yes, you know, for the future of human society, we have to address these things. And you, Professor Chowdhury, you were mentioning also the failure, you know, around the world to address social problems, poverty, deprivation, hunger, that kind of thing. These are our challenges facing humanity for the future.
Great. Thank you for that. If the last question you can take, materials designing. What is the concept of materials designing? Someone has asked this as well.
To be honest, I didn't understand that question.
One-liner. He just asked a one-liner. What do you mean by materials designing?
Ujjwal sir, can I take that question?
Yes, Dr. Dipali.
Alex, if you don't mind, I would just like to mention that recently we had a webinar where we had called Dr. 𝐊𝐞𝐲 𝐏𝐸. He's from Calcutta, who has made these special surfaces, developed this material which can sustain any kind of, COVID contamination. So these new materials that are coming up is something where, this designing concepts can come in. And, we had done it for our interior designing department. We also have a BSc honors in interior designing. So these new materials that are being developed, be it fashion, be it interiors, be it any other, area that we are talking about, these materials should be, available, the concept should be available to the students so that they can use it in their design, in their, during their study. So this particular thing just came up because this is now becoming quite viral, where, this surface, if you treat it with the chemical for 3 months, you're rest assured there will be no COVID contamination.
Oh, great. That's a good
learning. I'm sorry, Alex.
No, it's okay.
I'll just reply by saying I think my answer was pretty stupid and ignorant. I think any chemistry professor will be laughing their heads off, and engineers, of course, will be laughing. But in the context of design, we more or less take the materials are our raw products. The existing materials that they provide us are our raw materials.
You are a humble man, Alex. You have been mentoring design education from Europe to South Asia for decades. You have a great experience to back you up in your learning. Thank you, Alex. We move to the next speaker. I think Professor 𝐊𝐸𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬 video and audio. Yes. And the question, Professor Amurthy Banerjee, is campaign designs and fashion photography, how will it change in post-COVID? Campaign, basically brand campaign. And also, what will be the impact on costs of design due to COVID? These are the questions.
So I will take the design cost question first.
Right.
So this is a very, very critical thing that we are trying to address, the practitioners are trying to address, which is all projects which were at a design stage are either shelved or are delayed. And cost is becoming a very, very important factor in them. And many I have been, and this is a feedback from the industry where a lot of practicing designers are being now asked by the clients to redefine and redesign things at a lesser cost. Because of course there's a pressure on there's a pressure on the economy. The economy is not doing very well. All kind of luxury projects have been actually delayed. So where the company says, okay, this was a luxury project that we were looking at, probably we could look at it later. So there's a lot of cost cutting which is going to happen, and lot of demand for low cost design solutions, which of course there's a lot of, and that has always been there. Cost is always a same output can be designed with different material, and the cost differs from material to material. But now this is a serious discussion that's happening across. Answering the second question, fashion photography, well, I have been, and I'm sure all of you have been reading that there's a lot of virtual photo shoots which have started to happen.
Yes, yes.
Right? And now we have something called an iPhone, and we have an app which is called a FaceTime. And actually, a lot of photographers globally are using, different tools and techniques to facilitate, virtual photo shoots. There's a scarcity of good makeup artists. I recently did a photo shoot at our campus, and we could not get a makeup artist. We could not get a professional makeup artist because they would just say no. We are not going out. We are not getting. So social distancing is always there. But necessity is the mother of invention, which we have seen in the last 3 months. So whenever we've had a roadblock, we've tried to, and that's the greatness of the human mind. We try and find alternatives, and the technology at a very, very high advanced stage. And we are blessed to have this technology. Technology has actually made it much easier. So location is going to be, outdoor shoots are going to happen less. Location is going to be a constraint in fashion photography, but it's happening. It's happening. As far as campaigns are concerned, well, digital campaigns are on a high. So people are now looking at all kind of digital campaigns. the media spend has shifted from television to television and outdoor to the digital medium. Most of the media spend patterns have changed. So so there's a lot of high, and like I said in my presentation, that the industry of which has animation designers, graphic designers, illustrators, people who work with augmented reality, virtual reality, a mix of AI and design. They have a lot of new opportunities which are coming there.
Thank you, Professor Banerjee. Yes, you are right. It is a digital-led multimedia branding that's coming up, and digital is the focus or the foundation. Even in journalism, it's a web-led journalism. Similarly, a web-led branding. And if you remember the word that I have been talking always, it's a convergent led by web, digital, convergent branding led by web. So therefore, the cost will go down to an extent. I really appreciate this issue of makeup artists. Just now India Today TV had a training of all their anchors how to do self makeup.
Yeah.
How to do self makeup and look smart and prim and proper on screen without a makeup artist, because many of these anchors are anchoring sitting at home. This is a very different scenario, completely different scenario. Unthinkable things are happening. And the last comment I will have: we shall not use social distancing, because it is about physical distancing and social bonding. We need to bond together. It's a beautiful thing that ABP today has brought 8 gurus of design from various parts of country together, and there are 500 people, 600 people, both Facebook and here together, who are listening to it. So we are bonded. We are socially bonded. We are physically distant. Let that be the scenario here. Thank you very much, Professor Banerjee, for your insights, and very well said about the digital part that you said, and also about the other aspects of costs that you brought forth. The cost has to be revised. We move to the next speaker, Professor John Sengupta, HOD, Fashion, INIFD Salt Lake. If you could throw light on high fashion industry post-COVID, and what do you mean by slow fashion? How would the slow fashion operate in the current scenario? Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, please. Move ahead. No, your audio is not.
Yeah.
Your audio, speak.
Sir, I would love to answer the second one, the slow fashion first. That's what I was talking about in my first presentation, that the sustainability of the fashion. Now we have to think about the certain things that what I have clearly mentioned in my speech. Nowadays, we have to think about the repurpose, resale, repairing of certain things, and we have to recycle. That is one of the most important thing in slow fashion, because if we talk about the fast fashion, which keeps on changing with due course of time, with the tendency of trends and all certain things in the society. So in slow fashion, these are the 4 things that we need to do: that the repurpose, resale, recycle, and repairing of certain things. Sir, can you have the second first question? Is all
high
about
fashion,
the high fashion.
Impact of COVID on high fashion.
Sir, actually, the thing is that the impact of the high fashion is basically what we do is
you have gone silent, Mr. Sengupta. Your audio is mute. Your audio is mute. I'm already running short of time. Yes, please speak.
Sir, basically the thing is that in high fashion, the brand should not over manufacture and expect that the post of the pandemic are more responsible for the emergence of the damage to the environment. So there are lots of things of the damages and taking care of the environmental issues, and the textile department, there will be no as such production, so there will be lots of pollution less. So as such, these are all the elements are responsible for the post-COVID.
Right. Thank you for your perceptive answer on that. Can we move to Professor Samir Mukherjee? If you can talk on AR, VR, MR and their value addition beyond the technology, the glamour and the beauty and the aesthetic part. What is the utilitarian angle of AR, VR, MR in design?
See, the first of all, that AR, VR, MR will be in the education field probably within coming couple of years, within 2-3 years, you will see that it will be there in a very bigger way. This is first part of it. Second part is that for the aesthetics, the design, and all this industry, you just can't believe it how easy it will be. You know, like if I take out the laptop from your end and ask to do something, it is difficult. So after mostly 2 years down the line or 3 years down the line, if I ask you that no VR, just design it, it will be very difficult. I'm just giving you some example. I do not have anything. So, you know, like this is your interaction devices, okay? And you are in the seaside and you are planning some music, okay? So you just dream that music, click that, and the music instrument will be in front of you. So you can play that, you can record it, you can share it with your friend, and it is in a seaside. It is not in your home also. So anywhere in the world, wherever you think that I want to do that, this will be a brush, you know, kind of a pen brush, and you are thinking that this is the logo I want to do, and you are in the train. Okay, let's start it. Okay, so the design and whatever you said, look, this is what we are calling, this is next internet. Before internet and after internet, there is a huge impact. Before VR AR and after VR AR, there will be a huge impact. Unfortunately, it is seriously unfortunate that in our country, it is not implemented in the universities or in the education or other areas that much. But I'm telling you, if you check all the universities throughout the globe, you will see that there is a huge department. Yes. Luckily, we have a very big department at this moment in Macau. They spend crore on that. And I'm telling you another very good application area, what we are doing very deeply, that's called VR tourism. Okay. We already have a research team. We already have certain work. So everything is started.
I can go to Maldives without going there and actually have the feeling. Almost 70%
because of
wow,
man. Because of coming 2-3 years, it will be very difficult for people to get visa. Not to travel, just to get visa, it will be very difficult. So that is the reason within this 2-3 years, okay, you can see throughout the world the way PDF version can, you know, substitute the book, and that way that this thing's physical travel will be substituted by VR traveling and all this. So this is just one application. So many different kind of applications there.
Yeah, great. And you also talked about transmedia storytelling. I completely believe in this with respect to media, news, and entertainment all. So can you give an example, or can you just explain a bit transmedia storytelling?
See, this is a very new concept altogether at this moment. Okay, transmedia is not yet penetrate our market, India market so much, but our suggestions to the students, to everyone, that think on that particular angle, forget about the big name technology and all this. Transmedia is a kind of, I told you, the definition is a very simple things that think in a different way. The CX, customer experience, should be whatever you think. Even your mobile phone got so many facilities. You know, this is a kind of a music listening device, isn't it? So if I ask that it is not a phone, it is just a designing gadget. You have to believe. So transmedia is like that. Whatever you are thinking, if you are thinking, I am giving you a very, very tough definition that Rowling wrote a book. She didn't got this idea that it will give this kind of impact in the world.
Right.
We do not know so many things that from Harry Potter, the first thing is the game, Harry Potter game. That was in the Sony PlayStation. It was very costly. It was not in our country. We do not know. The first part is the Harry Potter game, then Harry Potter movie, then Harry Potter. And, you know, if you go to Disney, you will get a different space altogether. So many things. The merchandise throughout the globe Mostly in every mall you will get a Harry Potter shop.
Right.
So
there could be two types of transmedia storytelling. One would be telling the same story in audio, video, cartoons, text, and various forms. This could be one type, animated film, various types. The other could be telling the same story with components of audio. Part of the story started in text.
Some part of it.
Part of it can be in cartoons. Part of it can be audio. Part of it can be video, and it can come back to text, or maybe animated video as well. There could be different forms of storytelling. Full stories in multimedia, or parts of the story in multimedia. It could be that way as well.
Exactly. Basically, it will impact on storytelling.
Right.
But storytelling doesn't mean that it is for movie or it is for book.
Right.
Storytelling is for everything. Right. Okay. And there is a huge big puppet show on Harry Potter. We do not know this. And people are, queued in for that particular puppet show. That's a very big thing.
Great. Thank you. I go over to the next speaker. We are already down with the time, but still we have 2 speakers to go. I go to the next speaker, 𝐊𝐿𝐲 𝐏𝐸 Professor. Before that, there are so many questions about feedback form. It will be emailed to your registered email ID, feedback form. You can write the feedback there. Second, about the certificate, e-certificate, there are questions. It will also be emailed to you from ABP, signed by an ABP authority to your email ID, which is registered email ID. Thank you for asking the questions. Shows that you are queued in, you are interested. Some of the speakers have also thanked me for moderation. Yes, I thank you back. So, Professor Subhajyoti, you have been talking about adaptability and changing people's habits. There has been a huge amount of habits changed due to pandemic. So, changed habits of people due to pandemic, how has it impacted design and advertising? Professor Subhajyoti Roy Choudhury.
I would say design hasn't been impacted that way. Those who had been able to adapt to the new changing situation has been able to work in the manner they were working. In fact, animation industry also hasn't been touched much by the pandemic situation. In fact, there has been a growth in animation industry. Production houses have been making animations and circulating through Netflix and other mediums.
Great, thank you.
People has been looking at them in this lockdown situation.
Great.
So what has changed is the way those who have been able to adapt to the situation has been able to work in the same manner as they were working.
Great.
Graphic designing and animation will go on as it is if they adapt to the new change situation.
Thank you, Professor Roy Choudhury. I'll add a few points here. M, the logo of McDonald's, M, the 2 arches M have been separated to show physical distancing. So that's one example. Then, for example, the 2 elephants of Febiquick, Fevicol, Pidilite, which were, the 2 elephants were stuck, have been put separated with a chain, physical distancing. Volkswagen has come out with a campaign, nothing to talking about the car. It's talking about Corona warriors, saluting Corona warriors. Oyo, which is a hotel aggregator, has come out with an ad. It's not an ad, it's an act, ACT, act 2-minute story, where it's talking about physical distancing. A hotel talking about physical distancing. That's the right way of keeping your brand alive. Sometimes talking things which are apparently not in line with your line of business, still important. IKEA is giving fixed time, and some supermarkets in US giving fixed time to Corona warriors to come and shop, and they are being welcomed with certain free gifts and things like that, welcomed with claps and all. Several hotels have opened up their doors, Taj and Oberoi included, in Delhi, for Corona warriors to come. So it's a branding of compassion, branding of love and affection, branding of creating social solidarity, even in times of physical distancing. This is a new type of branding that's happening. And we must, Sunrise Masale, we must have seen those who are watching television in Bengal have seen this. They're coming with a 1.5 minutes act, ACT, which talks about immunity and spices. Which spices lead to immunity? Only in the last 5 seconds, they tell Sunrise Masale has all the options for you. So this is a new type of bonding, new type of branding, and that is required because people's habits are changing. There are restrained communication. They are stuck at homes, and at this point of time, aggressive sale of sales, aggressive sale of services, products, and their brand and their features is not expected. Creating a bond with the audience is more expected. Professor Madhu Agarwal Amudia, you have spoken very well about the gaming industry and the gaming entertainment. So gamification beyond entertainment, what would you suggest? How will the gaming industry or students who learn gaming, how can they use their skills beyond entertainment?
Gaming is also about learning the process of gaming, right, and applying it everywhere. So I think gaming engines are going to become really big. We get seeing that is being used a lot. In fact, Tesla's story is that Elon Musk used to first create his cars in the gaming engine before making it in real life. So gaming engine has got a huge scope of learning, and it's making the virtual world very exciting. And when you talk about gamification, that's getting into a brand space. So when we were talking about branding and we were talking about advertising, gamification is going to become really, really big in that space. And it's going to help companies grow and become much bigger and reach its audience in a very entertaining and a different manner. So that's the story. And a very short story to share about Ubisoft is when the Notre Dame church burned down and they wanted to restore it in France, the original plans, they actually got it from Ubisoft, because when Ubisoft made the game, they actually had created those plans and details, and they shared it with the government to make the restoration possible. So gaming is just not playing a game. It's got a lot of depth behind it, and it can be used for a lot of things in future to make it really exciting.
Great. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have covered a long space from Vedic times to future times, from man's unity with nature to man's habits changing. Man includes women here. Habits changing and impacting on design and sense of aesthetics. From understanding of products just as they are, understanding of product with design thinking. Understanding of product only from utilitarian perspective, and understanding of a product enhancing utilitarianism with design thinking. We have looked at high fashion and slow fashion. We have looked at ethical fashion. We have looked at engineering and design together. We have looked at understanding of the role of graphics and animation in enhancing the value of a brand, enhancing the appeal. We have looked at education and internships and placements in the world of design. And we have looked at product design as well to an extent. We have looked at several aspects, how, for example, augmented and virtual reality would enhance brand values, enhance experience value, enhance product value. We have looked at good design and bad design as examples. We have looked at challenges of design, education, and the profession in future. We have looked at COVID impact on every aspect of design. I think that was good enough for 2 hours and 10 minutes. So 130 minutes of compact design education perspectives from the gurus of the field. It was a pleasure for me to noting down all the concepts that you were telling, taking notes. Yes, every webinar I moderate, I'm a student once again. We are students lifelong. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your patience. Still, there are 240 plus on Zoom and more than 300 on Facebook. That's really good after 2 hours and 15 minutes. See you again, everyone, sometime again, very soon. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.